Priscilla, the co-host of The Joe Flynn Show, and I have with me Ed Douglas, who is from Midnight Syndicate. Midnight Syndicate being a band composed of two people?
Yes.
And who is the other person?
Gavin Goska. Gavin and I write all the music for Midnight Syndicate.
Now, I've been listening to the CDs that you sent Joe, and it's wonderful soundtrack, background music. Have you ever done? Do you do soundtracks? Do you have any?
Well, when we started Midnight Syndicate, the idea was that we would make these CDs that would sound like soundtracks to imaginary films. Like a movie score to a movie that when you put in a CD and you close your eyes, you can envision this movie in your head, or this world, your own creation. So we actually, at the same time, we also realized there weren't any very good Halloween CDs out there at the time, just like sound effects tapes, and Monster Mash compilations. No really good creepy atmosphere. So we found. So that's how we started, by just doing these CDs, not really intending to do movie soundtracks, but just these soundtracks to imaginary films, and release them as a band, I guess in the back of my mind, I always thought we were eventually going to get into scoring movies, and that did happen. Right now we're scoring a movie called The Rage, which is directed by Robert Kurtzman, who is one of the co-founders of KMB Effects. He has a production company in Ohio now called Precinct 13. And he just they're done filming, they're in post-production, and we're scoring that. So that's going to be out this year, and that'll be our first official score. Though over the years, we've been doing this for about 9 or 10 years now, and our music's been used in a lot of movies. They've taken our music and used it in television shows and movies for main themes and stuff like that. We haven't actually scored any movies, they've just used it in films and TV shows and stuff like that.
It's really good. It's really good stuff.
Much.
And each thing that I've been listening to sounds different from one another, so it's not repetitious or anything at all. Normally with that style of music, people always get the bad impression because people say, oh, it all sounds the same, but it really doesn't. So
thanks. It's really hard for us to, we actually, we spend a lot of time making the CDs, a movie score, a typical movie score can get a little repetitious and stuff like that because the movie is actually the focus, and so the score has to kind of be a slave to the movie. The movie's the focus. But with our CDs, the music is everything. Is the most important thing. So yeah, we write like we were a band, little 3-minute songs, and many times we'll say we'll be listening to a song, and if it's too repetitious, we'll say we're going to cut it down because we really. We write, so that you could put in the music, so there's a lot of variety, and there's a story that kind of goes along with the CD as you listen to it. So I'm glad that you find that, because we spend a lot of time making sure that it doesn't get repetitious and that it is enough to keep the listener interested. We also throw in sound effects every once in a while, which I think adds another dimension to the music. You have the instrumental music and just enough sound effects to, kind of give you a little more idea of, spark the imagination, and give you a little more idea about the world we're trying to create, or, spark the imagination. So.
Yeah, I need to start off. So yeah, that's everything that you're telling me on how this music is composed. I can definitely hear what you're saying, because with all instrumental, it's you're adding the sound effects, all these other elements to it, where it is still very appealing and attractive, and that variety I can tell. Are there ever vocals used?
We have we never have lyrics really. Everything we do is instrumental. We have vocalists come in and they'll sing over top, more like choir, but not actual lyrics. I think that works for us because the whole idea with our CDs is that when you put in the CD, you're transported to a movie or a world of your own creation that you could really imagine for yourself. Everybody listens to the CD and gets something different out of it and interprets it differently. So the fact that we don't have lyrics, I think, helps that along, because there's really nothing to tell you how to interpret the music. You really are left up to interpret it completely as you will, and there's no lyrics to kind of lead you in any way, shape, or form. There's no words, so it works well for what we do, I think. So. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I think you're right. If you were to add vocals, then now that's the focal point.
Exactly, exactly. And it's kind of dictating things.
Be a completely different thing. I mean, because I collect soundtracks, and a lot of my favorite songs from the soundtracks don't even really have to do with the scene in the movie and what's happening at the time of the movie. It's just how it sounds, all instrumental.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
Cool. Yeah,
I have.
So does Midnight Syndicate ever perform?
We actually did one live show, a series of live shows in a theater back in 8 years ago when we first started. And it blended original film, and we played the score to the movie as the movie's played. We had actors come out from the screen onto stage, and it was a really involved multimedia show. Since then, we have not done that, just because it's very hard to reproduce what we do live. It's all orchestral instrument, music, and yeah, it's hard to reproduce live and make it interesting for people. And it's we know from doing the show all the way back then, it's quite an endeavor. It's a time-consuming process, and we just haven't been able to do it. So I wouldn't say that it's something we wouldn't do in the future, but we haven't been able to, the last 8 years, just because our schedule, and we want to keep putting out new CDs, and so that's kind of kept us busy from doing that.
And so what instruments do you play?
Both of us are primarily play keyboards, piano. Gavin also is a percussionist. He plays classically trained a percussionist, and he also studied voice. So that's primarily what we use for Midnight Syndicate. We both also played in rock bands. So I played bass guitar, and he played drum in rock bands and stuff like that. So I play a little bit of everything. But for Midnight Syndicate, it's mostly piano-based stuff that we use.